For 3 months, Karen the HOA president parked her black Escalade across my driveway every Tuesday. Not near it. Not beside it. Directly across it. She said my gravel driveway was under review for code compliance. The last time she did it, my granddaughter missed her birthday party because we couldn't get out. That's when I remembered I owned a John Deere tractor and 20 feet of logging chain. What happened next made the local news. I'm Robert Chen, 68 years old, and I've lived on my 10-acre property outside Willow Creek for 42 years. Bought it when land was cheap and my back was strong. Raised 2 kids here. Buried my late wife Martha under the oak tree she loved. These days I'm retired from farming, but I keep the tractor maintained and help neighbors with heavy work. Our neighborhood used to be just 5 families on large plots. Quiet. Respectful. Then developers carved up the old Morrison Ranch into half-acre lots, and suddenly we had an HOA. Most new folks were fine. But Karen Whitmore was different. She moved from Seattle 2 years ago, bought the corner lot with the fancy gates, and immediately ran for HOA president. She won because only 12 people voted. Karen was 50-something, drove a black Cadillac Escalade that cost more than my first house, and had opinions about everything. She called our area rustic like it was a disease that needed curing. Her first crusade was driveway standards. See, my driveway is gravel. Has been for 4 decades. It's a quarter-mile long through the trees to my house. Paving it would cost $30,000. Karen said it lowered property values and wasn't befitting a modern community. The first sign of real trouble came during a neighborhood meeting 6 months ago. Karen stood at her podium with a binder. "We need uniform standards," she announced. "Concrete or asphalt driveways only. I'm proposing a 12-month compliance period." My neighbor Duke, a retired logger, laughed. "Lady, some of our driveways are longer than your whole property." Karen's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Then I suggest you start saving, Duke." That's when I knew we had a problem. The harassment started small. Karen sent me a certified letter about driveway surface concerns. I wrote back politely explaining the cost and that gravel was perfectly functional. She responded with another letter threatening fines. Then one Tuesday morning in April, I found her Escalade parked sideways across the bottom of my driveway where it meets the county road. She was standing there with a clipboard, measuring something. "Morning, Karen. You're blocking my driveway." She glanced up. "I'm conducting an HOA property inspection. This is a common area. This is my property line. That's my driveway. You're on my land." She smiled that cold smile. "According to the plat map, the first 50 feet falls under HOA easement jurisdiction. I'll be done in 20 minutes. I waited in my truck, hands gripping the steering wheel, feeling my blood pressure rise. She took 45 minutes. 2 weeks later, it happened again. This time I had a doctor's appointment in town. "Karen, I need to leave. Now." "You should have scheduled around inspection days," she said without looking up. I missed my appointment. The rescheduling fee was $75. The third incident happened on a Wednesday in June. I was expecting my daughter Lisa and her 2 kids for my granddaughter Emma's 8th birthday. I hung streamers. Baked a cake. At 2 o'clock, Lisa called from the bottom of my driveway. "Dad, there's an SUV blocking the entrance. I can't get through." My chest tightened. I drove my pickup down and found Karen's Escalade parked across the gravel, and Karen herself examining my drainage ditch with a tape measure. "Move your vehicle. My family needs to get through." Karen straightened up, brushed dirt from her white pants. Mr. Chen, if you'd simply agree to pave this driveway, we wouldn't have these conflicts. There are children waiting for a birthday party. Then I suggest you think about what's more important. Your stubbornness or your granddaughter's happiness. I could hear Emma crying in Lisa's car. Something inside me cracked. Lisa ended up parking at Duke's place and walking over. Emma's face was blotchy from tears. The party happened, but the joy was damaged. That evening, Duke stopped by. Half the neighborhood is dealing with her power trips, he said quietly. She fined the Johnsons for their dog barking. Threatened the Patels about their vegetable garden. Nobody knows what to do. I sat on my porch that night, watching the sun set through the trees, feeling helpless in my own home. Martha would have known what to say. I just felt tired and defeated. The breaking point came 2 weeks later on a Saturday morning. I was in the barn maintaining my old John Deere tractor when I heard a vehicle. Through the open door, I saw Karen's Escalade roll up and park. Not at the bottom of the driveway this time. Right in front of my barn. Blocking my tractor. She got out holding a camera, started photographing my property. My barn. My equipment. Even Martha's garden. Something hot and sharp rose in my chest. I walked out. What are you doing? Documenting code violations. Your barn needs painting. That tractor is an eyesore. And this entire property needs landscaping standards. This is my home. Martha planted those flowers. Karen lowered her camera, looked at me with something like pity. Mr. Chen, your wife has been gone for 3 years. It's time to move into the present. This neighborhood is evolving, and you need to evolve with it or consider selling. The world went quiet. She'd crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. Get off my property. Excuse me? You heard me. Leave. Now. Karen smiled, completely unbothered. I'll leave when my inspection is complete. She turned her back on me. Went back to taking pictures. I stood there, hands trembling with rage and something else. Determination. Enough was enough. That afternoon, I did something I should have done months ago. I pulled out my property deed, the original survey maps, and the HOA bylaws. I spent 3 hours reading every word. Then I called my neighbor Tom Bradshaw. Tom, a county sheriff's deputy, lived 2 properties over. We'd helped each other through the years. Tom, I need to understand property rights. If someone parks on my land and won't move, what are my options? Tom was quiet for a moment. Is this about Karen? Yes. Legally? If a vehicle is on your private property without permission and blocking access, you have the right to have it removed. You can call a tow truck, or if you have the means, you can move it yourself to the property line or public road. Just can't damage it intentionally. My heart started beating faster. What if I moved it with my tractor? Tom laughed. As long as you're moving an obstruction from your own land and you're careful not to cause excessive damage, you're within your rights. I'd document everything, though. Photos. Witnesses. Maybe a warning first. After we hung up, I researched more. Found 3 cases in our county where property owners had legally removed vehicles from private land. The law was clear. Then I discovered something interesting. Our HOA bylaws required board members to maintain their own properties to the highest standards. I'd seen Karen's place. Her back fence was rotting. Her registration tags on the Escalade had expired last month. A plan formed in my mind. I'd need my tractor. Logging chains. My phone for video. Witnesses if possible. And I'd need Karen to make the first move. For a moment, doubt crept in. Was I stooping to her level? Was this petty? Then I remembered Emma's tears. The way Karen had dismissed Martha's memory. The months of harassment. No. This wasn't revenge. This was standing up for my property, my rights, and my peace. I just had to wait for the right moment. It came 3 days later. Tuesday morning, 9:15. I was having coffee on the porch when I heard the familiar engine rumble. Karen's Escalade rolled up my driveway and parked sideways across it, 30 feet from my barn. Right on my property. I'd prepared for this. My tractor was fueled and ready. Logging chains were laid out. I pressed the record on my phone, propped it on the porch rail facing the driveway, then walked down. Karen, you're on my private property. Move your vehicle. She was examining my fence posts with her clipboard. Another inspection, Mr. Chen. Your fence is leaning. I'm asking you nicely. Move your SUV off my land. She sighed like I was a tiresome child. When I'm finished. You have 2 minutes, then I'm moving it myself. Karen actually laughed. You wouldn't dare touch my vehicle. 120 seconds, Karen. She turned her back, kept writing notes. I counted to 130, loud enough for my phone's microphone to catch. Then I climbed onto my John Deere, fired it up, and drove it over. The engine rumble made Karen turn around, her eyes widening. I hooked the logging chain to her Escalade's front axle, making sure my phone was capturing everything. My hands were steady now. Calm. Mr. Chen, don't you dare, I engaged the tractor. The chain went taut. The Escalade's wheels started rolling backward across the gravel. Karen was screaming, running alongside. I pulled it carefully, slowly, all the way down my driveway to the county road. Right to the edge, where my property ended and the shallow drainage ditch began. The SUV's back wheels slipped into the ditch with a soft crunch. Not flipped. Not damaged. Just stuck at an angle, half on the road, half in the ditch. I unhooked the chain and climbed down. Karen was screaming about lawsuits and destruction of property. I pulled out my phone. Tom. It's Robert. I've got a situation here. A vehicle was blocking my driveway on my property. I removed it. The owner's pretty upset. Tom arrived in 15 minutes. Duke and 2 other neighbors had gathered, drawn by the commotion. Tom examined everything. My property line. The position where Karen had parked. The video on my phone showing the whole incident. Karen was still yelling, demanding I be arrested. Then Tom walked around her Escalade and noticed the expired registration sticker. Ma'am, your tags are 60 days expired. And you were parked on private property after being asked to leave. He pulled out his citation book. I'm going to need to see your license and insurance. Karen's face went from red to white. The story spread through the neighborhood by evening. Within a week, 17 homeowners signed a petition calling for Karen's removal as HOA president. Turns out my video had captured her admitting she was conducting inspections without proper authority. An emergency HOA meeting was held. Karen was voted out. She tried to fight it, threatened lawsuits, but her own violations kept piling up. The rotting fence. The expired tags. Parking on private property. She put her house up for sale 4 months later. Moved back to Seattle. The new HOA board, led by Duke, dissolved half of Karen's ridiculous rules in the first meeting. My gravel driveway was officially grandfathered in. These days, my property is quiet again. I drink my coffee on the porch without tension in my shoulders. Emma had her 9th birthday party here last month. No drama. Just cake and laughter. Sometimes standing up for yourself means using the tools you have. mine just happened to be a John Deere and property rights. Looking back, I don't regret what I did. Could I have handled it differently? Maybe. But after months of harassment, missing appointments, and watching my granddaughter cry, something had to give. The lesson I learned is simple: know your rights. Karen counted on people being too intimidated or too tired to fight back. The moment someone stood up with the law on their side, her power crumbled. I still keep that tractor maintained. Still help neighbors when they need heavy lifting. And yes, my driveway is still gravel. It works just fine. If you enjoyed this story about standing up to HOA overreach, consider subscribing to hear more tales of regular people fighting back against bullies with power trips. Sometimes the little guy wins. And sometimes, he's got a tractor. Thanks for listening.